Welcome. You're here today to unlock the potential of your young person by building independence and self-motivation. I know that today is going to be a turning point in your life. So I want to thank you for taking a few moments out of your day to do your very best for yourself and for your student. I hope you'll stick around for the end because that's where all the practical tips come for how you can build independence into your student's schedule. But before we begin, who am I? Why should you listen to me anyway? That's a really important question. So I hope that's something you're asking yourself. My name is Teresa. I'm your language arts mentor with Discern to Learn. I come alongside students and I help them to learn and grow, to dream big, to make plans, and to learn how to succeed in academics and in life using the writing process and learning how to think critically and logically and be persuasive in everything they do. These aren't just academic skills. These are life skills that are going to make a difference for your student. Let's get started to learn how we can unlock your student's potential today. I want to begin with a story. I know a young man. He was actually in one of my classes. And when I first talked to him, I was pretty concerned. He had no motivation. Nothing seemed to matter to him at all. He wasn't interested in doing anything, making any plans. In fact, he said of himself, I'll probably fail at life anyway. There's no point in even trying. What's going on with this student? That at 15, 16 years old, he thinks he's going to fail at whatever he tries. We're going to get to that because really it's important for us to know what is already motivating our students and what things will help to motivate them. But today, does that sound like your student? Maybe they're not quite there. Maybe they're not in a position where they don't care about anything. But do you find that you have to be on top of them to be the drive behind the things that are happening in their lives? Do they do things on their own, make their own goals, make their own plans? Do they manage their own homeschool schedules? Do they do their tasks without you nagging them? Or is this a constant struggle in your home, as it is in many? Most parents that come to me are struggling because their students are angry and frustrated. They're lashing out, and the parents are angry and frustrated too. They just don't know what to do next. They don't know how to teach their young person to be independent. This all might seem really impossible to you. Maybe you feel like you've tried everything already. I understand. It's important to know that you never have to learn alone. And you don't have to go through this all by yourself. I want to be there to help you every step of the way. Now, some people say, it's okay. They'll grow into it. They're just not ready yet. Now, my student who really had no motivation in his life, at 16, do you think he's going to just grow into all of a sudden having dreams and goals, to making plans? Why is it that he feels that he's doomed to failure? Let's take a look at what motivates us. Because I don't think that these things are naturally just going to magically happen in our young person's lives. They're not going to wake up one day responsible. These are things that are a learning process. Just like our toddlers learned to walk and we challenged them. We stood on the other side of the room and we said, come on, you can do it. And they fell down. And we said, good for you. And we helped them back up. That's what we want to do with our young person. We want to encourage them to do those hard things and fail, and then help them back up to try again. What is it that's going to motivate your student to be able to get back up, to try again, to feel like they have the possibility that they can actually learn and grow and be motivated to do these things in their lives? Well, there are a few things that motivate us all. And this is something that is shown through science all of the time. There are many different studies on these things. So if you do some searches for studies, you're going to find studies about motivation and what kinds of things motivate people. The first thing that motivates us is a feeling of agency, a feeling that we can make a difference in our lives. And my young student, who I'll call Wesley, he didn't feel he had agency. He didn't think he could change anything. It didn't matter what he did, he was going to fail anyway. So really, why invest effort in that if you don't think you can actually change something? And the way we get to a feeling of agency in our lives, that we can make a difference and change something, is through past successes. So perhaps he feels that things have to be perfect in order to succeed. And if things always have to work out perfectly in order to succeed, or especially perfectly the first time to succeed, our young people are going to feel like they're failing every single time. The second thing that really motivates us are rewards. And I know that you might want to set up a reward system for your student to help them really get this, but that would be an outside reward. That's not self-motivation, that's other motivation. So when I talk about rewards, I'm talking about rewards that the student sets up for themselves. They have a goal, they make a plan, and then they say, when I do this, then I will get this. Or after I've finished these things that are really hard for me, I'm going to take 20 minutes and go outside for a walk. Those kinds of rewards. And those rewards are really important. Now, I want you to think back to when your child was young, and rewards had to be very close together. So it's important to encourage our students to set up rewards that reward them very quickly so that they don't have to perform successfully for a whole month or a whole week before they get a reward. The other thing is, we don't want the reward to be for doing something perfectly for the whole week or perfectly for the whole day. So for instance, we don't want to say you get a sticker or you get a check for them to set up this system as for themselves, that if I finish everything without procrastinating, then I get this check mark. And when I get 5 check marks, then this big thing happens. Because what we're setting up is a system where our young person feels that in order to be rewarded, they need to perform perfectly. The point of rewards is to reward growth. So we need to change what success is. Success needs to be growth and not completing it perfectly. When we have a system where growth is rewarded, that means that our young person, in order to continue to get those rewards, has to keep raising the bar. They don't have to just get to a place and hold. And that's what we want to encourage them to do, to keep pushing themselves on to the next step. The other piece of the rewards are dopamine. Now, you might hear about dopamine all the time when it comes to sugar and social media, and it's always these bad things. I'm here to tell you dopamine is not a bad thing. Dopamine is a wonderful thing. When we do something well, we get a chemical reward in our brain. And that chemical reward is dopamine. And that makes us want to continue to strive for more things. It's not a reward like a sticker or a reward like a treat. Dopamine is in this part of our brain that helps us to want to grasp at something more. So dopamine is also what drug addicts get, but it's not the pleasure reward. Dopamine is not necessarily a pleasure reward. Dopamine is a motivation reward. It makes us want to strive on for more and better things. And those are the rewards that we really want our students to get. So we want them to tap into their own dopamine system so that they can be rewarded naturally, natural consequences of their actions. And the way that happens is having some small things that they can succeed at, and then larger things and larger things. The third thing that really motivates us is actually a fear of failure. And the problem with failure and fear of failure is that often it's a roadblock. For me, when I was growing up, a fear of failure absolutely paralyzed me. I was so afraid of doing anything I could fail at. But what if, instead of a roadblock, we can get our fear of failure behind us to drive us to move towards our dreams and goals? So we want to imagine, what is it going to be like if I fail at this? Is that what I really want? Do I want that feeling? Do I want that outcome? I don't want that outcome. So I'm motivated to move towards my goals and dreams. And that brings us to the last thing. And those are our dreams. Our dreams are a big motivator. I'm seeing, and it's terrifying, but I'm seeing young people come to me. They have no dreams for the future. Just like Wesley, whatever comes, comes. I'm not too worried about it. It's so important that we encourage our young people to dream, to look to the future, to be excited, to imagine what success would be like. So those dreams spur us on to go and advance and try to get there and to set up a plan to get there. And that's what self-motivation is. Now, here's what you've been waiting for. You've been waiting for the practical tips. How do you make this work in your life? How do you help your student learn these things? Now, I have some great news. I have a free e-guide that sets out exactly how I do this. And if you want to download that guide, you're going to find it right here at the link that you're going to see on the screen. That e-guide is going to help you to see how you can motivate your student to dream, to imagine what success would be, and to discover that it all comes through language arts. And how much better is that? So here's some practical tips that I'm going to give you today. So first of all, we need our student to buy in. And that's the first thing in that e-guide is when I go and I have a new student, I spend an hour with them, getting to know them. And you already know your student, but I wonder if you've ever talked to them about their dreams and goals. And I don't mean that big, horrible question. What do you want to do when you grow up? What are you going to take? Or what are you going to do when you graduate? Those questions are terrifying and they paralyze young people. You know, I never knew what I was going to do when I grew up. I went to university. I did all kinds of things, and the internet didn't even exist. How could I possibly have known I was going to be here today? We don't know what the future holds for a young person, and they certainly don't know. But we can ask them, what does success look like to you? Who do you know that you really respect? And what is it about them that you want to emulate? What character traits do you want that they have? If you're trying to get a job, what skills do you need in order to do well in an interview? What skills do you need to level up and to succeed in a career or a job of any kind? These are all persuasion skills, logical thinking skills, critical analysis skills, and they're all taught through writing and through the writing process. When young people see that the things that they are learning are really going to help them in their lives, they can buy in because it's going to matter to them. They're going to care why they're doing it. They're not going to just quickly dash off an assignment because that's what they need to do, because the goal is to get it in. They want to learn the skill behind that assignment so they can succeed in life. So when we make it matter to them, when they understand that it matters to them, they're going to want to pursue those dreams. And that's going to be their dream motivation. So remember, we talked about different things that motivate us. Our dream motivation is a buy-in motivation. I want to get there. And in order to get there, I need these skills. So if I need these skills, I need to do this and this and this. And when we imagine and we dream, young people are so afraid. What if I can't? What if I can't succeed? What if I imagine and dream some big, amazing thing and I never get there? We need to help them learn to get fear behind them and to use fear to help them go towards their dreams and goals. And part of this is working through a growth mindset. So teaching them that obstacles and disappointments and discouragements and failures are steps in the growth system so that we can get to where we want to go. And they're going to change their dreams and goals. They need to understand that it's okay. If something comes up and they really can't do something, they're going to find a new path. A new path will open for them and they'll follow that path. And as they go, they'll see how far they can go. But if they never start, if they never go, they're not going to get there. So they need to take that fear that's blocking them and they need to get it behind them to push them forward. The next thing is they're going to need a plan. And this is part of the agency process. So when our young people start to build plans, they need to build it with small, measurable steps so that they can see that they're making a difference. They need to know that they're winning. They need to know that they can actually make a difference. So small successes lead to confidence to make bigger goals. And they realize that they have agency in their lives. And accountability is a huge piece of that process. Now, I know it might hurt us, but most often our young people don't want us. They don't want us to be their accountability. They want someone else. And that's okay. It's most important that they get accountability, not someone who's going to nag them, someone who's going to come alongside them and help them, someone who's going to ask them how they're doing reaching their goals, what successes they've had, what failures they've had, what they're learning about themselves. People who are going to encourage them on that process. We need to celebrate small wins. Small wins like getting up. Small wins like making our bed every day. Small wins like having a planner so that we can check off or cross off the things as we do it. And we can see that we're accomplishing something, we're being productive. And this is going to give not only a sense of agency, but that dopamine reward that's going to help them and drive them on to more and more. How can you move from other motivation to self-motivation? And this is a really big problem. This is a hard thing for parents because we have had control. And it's so hard to give up that control. And it's so painful to watch our young people fail. And by fail, I mean not succeed perfectly. We see them and we say, you have so much potential, you have so much opportunity. And we want them to set their own goals and set their own plans, but then we want to make sure it happens. We want to push them and drive them and make sure that they succeed. And that's not how they're going to succeed in life. They're going to succeed in life when they become the motivation. So I'm sorry, parents. The best way for you to help your student develop self-motivation is to slow down the outside motivations. So you need to take a step back, maybe have a conference with your young person and say, listen, you're growing up. It's time for me to step back and for you to take responsibility. It's time for me not to be the person in charge of you and your motivations. How do you feel about that? What can you do? What are your goals and dreams? Have those conversations with your young person. They're going to be relieved. You're going to open up lines of communication that haven't been there. And the very hardest part of all of this is our own self-discipline to keep our mouths shut. It's so hard not to step in and say, hey, I see that you're not doing your tasks today, or what are you doing on that screen? Or why are you procrastinating? You know you can do this. We want them to ask for our help and our accountability so that they are in the driver's seat for their motivation. And through everything, as with raising a toddler, and now raising a teen, the hardest part of disciplining them is disciplining ourselves. So I would like to encourage you, parents. First of all, set aside a time to have a student conference. And you can make this fun and exciting. Set a date on the calendar, take them out for a hot chocolate or for lunch. Set aside time to talk to them about their dreams, about their future. Actively choose to take a step back, but talk to them about that. How do they feel about that? Which pieces do they feel that they can take over right now? And which pieces do they feel they still need help with? And then ask them, what can I do to help you with those other pieces? What do you most need from me to support you? And then respect and honor those choices by your young person. Are they going to do it perfectly? No. Do I do it perfectly? Of course not. We all struggle. We all struggle with self-motivation and self-discipline and procrastination. And our young person is going to probably struggle even more because they haven't had years of experience trying to figure that out. But if we can help them and come alongside them and be their support instead of their driving force, we can help our young person to develop their own self-motivation, their own self-discipline, and the confidence to move forward and engage with their future with hope and expectation. Maybe this seems something that you would struggle with. Maybe you're struggling yourself with your own self-motivation and self-discipline, and it's really hard to lead your student in that if you are not able to do it yourself. I completely understand. I've been there. This has been a long-term growth in my life. And I'm excited to say that Discern to Learn is here if you are looking for help. If you're looking for a mentor who can come alongside your teen and help them to learn and grow, help them to look with hope towards the future, to imagine what success would be and what they'll need to get there, to help teach them to be self-motivated, make their own timetables, make their own plans, and follow through. If you're looking for someone who can be their accountability, someone outside your home who can speak to them and who they may listen to in a much better way, I'd love to be there for you. On the next screen, you are going to see all of my contact information. I'm a mentor and I'd love to hear from you. So please reach out. There's also the link to that e-guide that's going to help you and guide you through the process of helping your student become self-motivated and disciplined in the writing process so that they can learn the skills that they need to be successful in academics and in life. Thanks so much for being here today, and I can't wait to hear from you. Remember, you're not in this alone. You never, ever have to learn alone.